So I've already downloaded the file. It comes in a zip file. And then on my Mac, I just double click on the zip file and it will unzip all of it. So some of these things will not be useful for Word, and we won't be able to perfectly capture what they're doing, but it'll give you an idea of, with a freebie pack like this, what can you use it for? Are these things helpful? So this is going to be how to do a Scandinavian art poster in Photoshop, but we're going to do it in Word. So this is the YouTube version, and then this should be the final piece that you would create. Ours will look maybe something like that, but we'll at least use these bits and pieces. We're going to try to do this without Photoshop. So let's put that aside. These are all the pieces, and so we're going to see how these can pull in. So this one right here is not useful to you unless you do have Photoshop. A .psd file is Photoshop only. Okay, so I'm going to open, this is just an 8.5 by 11 in Word. And so I think the first thing I'm going to do, because I'm going to assume that I'm just going to print this in-house. So I need to set up my margins, and I'm going to do narrow margins. Actually, I'm going to do custom margins because I want to fill up this space. The narrow margins you can see are 0.5 or half of an inch, but your printer should be able to print up to 1/4 inch from the edge. So we're just going to do that on all sides. We don't need a gutter because we're not going to do columns. Normal page. And apply the whole document. Okay, so the first thing they do is they bring in this offset. It's like a texture page. So I'm just going to drag it into here. And I am not sure that we're going to be able to use this effectively, but we will, especially because it doesn't want to go to the right size. That's all right. That'll just get cut off at 1/4 inch on the bottom, so we don't have to worry about that. I've got the color here, 00DEFF, and let's insert a shape over the top. And we're going to fill that shape, whoops, not with orange, with a gradient. Yes, yes, more gradients. So we're gonna pick our color here. More colors. I am going to go to the slider, and I want this to be RGB, which is red, green, and blue. But what I have is what's called a hex color. So I'm going to paste that in there and do OK. And then, let's see, where's their other color? Oh, here's the other color. I'm going to copy that, and we're going to do a gradient fill, but we're going to pick not a preset. We're going to do linear, but we want to do it, we're going to do it sideways for now. This color we're going to change, and we're going to put in another hex color, which is going to be the dark blue. Okay, and then we're going to change our transparency so we can see through there a little bit. Okay. And so I'm also going to change the transparency of the other end. Okay. And so then these, I'm going to delete those for now. We'll just do a two-stop, or just a dark to light gradient. Okay, so, oh, let's get rid of that line on the outside. No outline. There we go. And then we're going to pull this to the edges. Oops, I don't want it all the way. Since I can control that one, I'm going to do that. Okay. Less transparent. And I'm going to switch that so it's a little bit of a darker shade, because I think that'll look nice. But you can see there's still some of this texture that's showing from behind it. Okay, so now we're going to grab the border, and I'm going to, instead of drag this in, I think I'm going to go ahead and insert it, because since it's a PNG, I would like, I want to make sure that my background will be transparent, because I want the background to show through and not just it's under Julia Dreams, the border. Insert that. Okay, so first we're going to take the text wrap off. We'll do that in front of text. Will it pop up here? Oh, look at there, it did. So we will resize this just a bit. Put it down. We'll just put it here for now. This part. So it's this kind of a brushed or kind of grungy looking font that they've got the word Scandinavian in. I'm gonna make this a little smaller. Okay. So if you have a Mac, go to our font book, and you could do this through Word, but Macs have this program that you can kind of sort your fonts into collections, and so I'm pretty sure I have one that's similar. See if I can remember what it's called. There's that Rust, Intro Rust. Something like that would work, but you can see it's got that line in the middle. There's this. It's got more of a chunky, it's got that same grungy part in the middle. Which I think would probably work for what we need it for. Oh, this one maybe. Because you'll notice on this Scandinavian one of the things, I mean, because they're doing this Scandinavian design, there's a certain look that they're going for. It has more of this, more clean cut edges. But again, you kind of, oh, that might work. It's not quite as rounded, but it's grungy, and it does all caps. So let's do that. That's DCC. Again, this is another free font. So we've got, keeps moving home. Okay, so I don't want Calibri, I want DCC Ash. 12 point is a little small. I'm going to start with 20. And we'll just go ahead and do their, let's do caps lock. Oops. Scandinavian. Okay, here. So now we're going to do more colors. Oh, maybe it will let me. We're going to, I'm going to grab this color. Okay, so now that color matches here. This is, I didn't realize that they had started doing that. That's awesome. So there's Scandinavian, but I do not want, wait, solid fill, I don't want, wrap text, and I do not want the color in the background. Okay, maybe it's under shape options. No fill. Perfect. Okay, so now I'm also going to, it's just easier to work with it this way. Oh, there we go. I don't like this font quite as much as the one that they have. Oh, here's the line. I don't want this line either. There. So now we just have our word. Okay, so let's draw this back over here. And then I want to do art in this kind of fancy lettering. Okay, so that's the one where they used Wild West. But I'm going to use something different because I don't believe I have Wild West. But I have all of my fonts kind of arranged here. And so I have my scripty fonts here. They kind of have one that's shifting to the right, so we're gonna, this one's a little fancier than what I want, but let's make that a little bigger so we can see. So the A, R, T. It's not exactly what we're looking for. So let's, this one I believe will work. It's a little bit simpler than that one. We'll just try it. A lot of times I end up doing this. I'm just gonna copy and paste this so I don't have to delete all of the background and all that kind of stuff. Okay, text options. I'm going to do art. And then I'm going to change my font back to that. No, what was that one called? It had a weird name. ATZ. ATZ. That's loose. Oh, that's not too bad. So pull this down so that we can get the full thing there. And I'm going to pull this across. I just prefer more compact, but sometimes, you know, it's not necessary. Sometimes it gets in the way that way, and then sometimes it's hard to select things when you don't have a big enough box. Okay. So now we have this much. And we can resize some things. I think we'll move this down so it's a little closer. It should be, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Because what I'm doing here is I want to line this up to the middle, and then I'm looking at this edge and my font here. And the S, because it kind of slopes out here, but it's narrow up here where your eyeball sees this. You see that? But then look, if I continue that line down, this part of the S is slightly more out there. So that kind of throws off how this looks, because it almost seems like it should be more that way. And we're going to go with that, because sometimes having it exactly numerically in the middle is not what looks best. Okay, so we're going to do that. So then the other thing that they did was that they have another little, some text. Let's see, they actually have this over here under the V. And then they have some text over here. So let's not reinvent the wheel here. And we're going to put this down here. And so what they put on there, let's see. Yeah, here's what they said in there. Oh, that's not gonna work. Okay, I'm gonna have to retype it in. So they have it capped. Retrospective look. Influences and future direction. Okay, so now I'm going to select all that because that is way too big. And we're going to make that, well, probably 16, and we're going to, they use a font called Avenir, which is a sans serif. It's a nice font. And we're going to right justify that puppy. Somehow we're going to get this into 2 lines. Okay, so it's a little too big for this page, so we're going to pop it down to 14 and redo this box. Oops, like that. Okay, so you see how some of this, when you're doing a project, it's just kind of this back and forth kind of thing where you try something and then you go, oh, I hate that. So one thing I think is interesting is I really like the color like this. I do not like the color once and I think it's because this has a funky brown color to it. So I wonder, can I do artistic? Oops. So it does let you can see that there's some filters you can put for artistic effects, and because this is like kind of a funky pattern, it does some interesting things. Of course, you know, this is just like when you're working with Photoshop, it's the same way, or it can be, when you do something that requires a lot of, that's not what I wanted to do. There we go. Okay, did that take the color off? Yeah, okay, so that's better. I like this because it gives it kind of more of a leathery look. So, oops, that's not the one. So, yeah, so that gives a nicer color, don't you think? Than that kind of brownish glow or whatever that was going on there. Okay, so now we got those pieces, and we are going to do some of these, the other decorative pieces. Here, let's go to the original artwork again. So they have these bits in the corners and then these tiles across the bottom. So we may not be able to do the corner things because it looks like well, we might be able to. I won't say no yet. So first of all, I'm going to insert our photos from file. So let's go back up to, was that in this one? No. Julia Dreams. Can I do all of these at the same time? That would be awesome. And then again, we have to change all of the wraps. Okay, so did it just do two? Oh, isn't that cute? That one's got a wrap, so we're going to go in front of text. Did I get that one? In front of text. Oh, okay, now they're all up here. Box them up here, because now I can select all four of them, right? Shift and click, and then I will start at this corner and hit shift to keep them in the same bounding box. And yep, much smaller, right? Much smaller, because I need to get all four of them across there. That'll work. Okay, so here's the order they did them in. And this guy, and then the birdie, and then this leaf, or no, it's this leaf. They just shifted it the other direction. And this guy. So they turn theirs all, so so you can see how that is. Let me show you how they did it. So they changed the colors and then turned them so that they were going a certain direction, which is kind of nice. And then the change of color helps kind of keep them going together. So let's see. We're going to distribute horizontally, and then we're going to group this so that we don't accidentally move stuff. I'm pretty sure, oh, there it is, group. Okay, so if you're unfamiliar with that, it keeps, now I can't select them as individuals, I select them as the group, so I can't accidentally move one all crazy. And I think now that we have this there, I really would like this to be smaller. 72, maybe 60. Okay, so now we'll move this guy over to that. We're going to shift this over just a teens. Maybe we'll leave it under the N. Okay, so now we can shift this up just a bit. Okay, so now though, now I have a problem. I'm going to have to ungroup because I don't want to redo all the sizing and everything for that. So let's ungroup this briefly. I'm going to grab this, Command C, and then Command V, copy and paste, and then I will shift click on each of these and regroup. Okay, so now got this dude, and so now what they did is they popped this all the way into the corner, but much smaller. Okay. So I'm going to bump that over just a teensy bit, because I do want that. I would like it right at the edge, like that, see? Okay, so then I'm going to Command C, Command V, copy and paste, and then I am going to think if you hit shift while you turn this, it will keep it at an actual angle instead of getting some kind of wacky edge or wacky angle to it. So there you go. The gold looks much better on theirs, but you know. So now I'm going to do both of these together. I'm going to shift click, and then I'm going to Command C, copy them both, Command V. Now I pasted them up there, which is not what I wanted exactly, but see if it'll let me. Oh, isn't that cute? Okay, and I hit shift. All right, I'm just gonna stick this here. Deselect. I'm just going to select on one. I'm going to hit shift and get that right in the corner. Now you can see also there's kind of this weird edge on these little pieces of art, which if you're doing this in Photoshop, you could kind of get rid of that. Okay, but I do not love this, So, no, where was the color thing? That was in here, huh? So, I'm going to recolor. I'm going to try that because it's similar to what they were doing. And what I might actually do, because obviously we can't do exactly what they did in their copy. So but maybe these would all look good if we did more of a yellowy color, huh? Or you could pick one of these other ones. I mean, the blue, maybe the blue is nicer because it looks a little more Scandinavian. Or you could just, we'll just do the gold. Okay, so there is, I'm gonna tweak that just a little bit to get that in the corner. I like the color of theirs better, and change the transparency of it. So maybe that's how we make all the colors the same and then just change the transparency a little bit across the way. Okay, I do like that better. I love that dark, more that navy blue, gives it a richer look. I'm gonna move this down just a touch because you can see there's kind of this weird space here because of this. This A has a big old loop and it kind of gets in the way of where you can put these guys. But so there you go, Scandinavian looking art poster. Again, here's the original with the gold, and I will figure out a way to do that gold in Word without using Photoshop. Somehow I will conquer that. All right, so that's Scandinavian art poster using Design Cuts freebie and tutorial, and so you can see how you can use those pieces even in Word. It makes a really nice document, and so looking at these little pieces of artwork or the fonts that they have in Design Cuts, they can work even if you're not using the high-end design documents. So I hope that was helpful, and leave your comments below if you had a hard time with some stuff, and look for future tutorials.